everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on Blackest Night Titans Halloween Comic Review. Now, as you know, Blackest Night was an event comic that was meant to feature a new Lantern Corps, the Black Lanterns. And throughout it, we see where characters from DC who had either died, blown up, shot at, and all that, came back to life as zombies by the Black Lantern rings, and one of the tie-ins was the Teen Titans. And the cover has Beast Boy and the Black Lantern Terror making out. And it starts off how some characters are paying respects to their members, like Deathstroke to his son who died in the 80s run. Also, Red Star mourning the death of Panther and Wildebeest due to being killed by Superboy Prime in Infinite Crisis. And you see Ravager doing stuff in her own way. And we see how the Teen Titans and that are paying respect to their teams, like Tula, who died in the events of Infinite Crisis. And pretty much Donna says, "But we face the grief today, just like we would any villain." Yeah, together. And so they pretty much said, you know, it didn't even look like me. And so they did point out that they tore down the statue because he came back, and so did Connor and him as well. And even Donna feels like, you know, there were members that should come back. And she does mention about her husband and her son who died in a car accident. And pretty much Geoforce and Beast Boy still have Terra's statue hung up, despite the fact she betrayed the team during the Judas contract. And you can kind of tell Starfire is trying to be a bit more realistic to Beast Boy, trying to say, look, he was evil, you knew this. And even Beast Boy says, Cyborg says, Terra wasn't being drugged, Gar. Is giving the chance, she could have been a great tie-in. And you can tell they know that wouldn't have happened, as Terra was evil for the sake of it. And so we see Dawn and her sister Holly talking about Hank, and you can tell right away Holly is a bit more disgusted with Hank's behaviour from being told about, and Dawn does give some benefit of the doubt. She saw a lot of potential in him, and pretty much after this does look at her predecessor, Dawn's statue, and we're shown how a Black Lantern ring is trying to get Dove, but due to him being at peace, it can't. But we see how Hank is brought back. So we see basically sister and sister talking, and basically Dawn trying to get Holly to be a bit more reasonable, trying to go to college and everything else. And they see how a hawk and dove have been left as a message, and so they go in to find out what's going on and follow the sort of bread trails. And as soon as they go in, they end up in a library, and they find out to their horror that Hank's been returned as a zombie, saying, "In the flesh, baby, literally." And so we see the Titans still dealing with some of the aftermaths. And you can tell Starfire does feel a bit responsible, but Cyborg knows that Beast Boy needs to try and be, you know, a bit more realistic, that what happened to Terra was because of her own choices. And so you see Beast Boy looking on as someone calls his name, and turns out it's Terra. And turns out that she did survive, but you can tell Beast Boy is quick to kind of assume she's back and pretty much make out. And we kind of see how Hank is trying to take down Hawk and Dove, saying, "So you're the new Hawk? I'm not impressed." And so, pretty much, Dawn knows that this isn't Hank, and whatever it is being controlled. And so they do their best to try and make short work of Hank. And so pretty much Holly does her best to kind of take him on, but Hawk kind of makes quick work on her. And so we see how Beast Boy is being tricked by an illusion done by Lilith as a Black Lantern. And even Starfire and Cyborg know whatever's doing this isn't good. And so we see Terror as a Black Lantern, and him shocked at what he's seen, saying, "Don't stand there, darling. Whatever think of the all-new Terror?" And so she points out that, she come to collect what's due. And you kind of see Donna waking up and seeing a baby carriage. And so you can tell Dawn is quick to kind of try and save Holly, but due to it, Hank lifts up Holly, and Dawn tries to kind of get the zombie Black Lantern to stop, but sadly, Holly is killed as her heart is ripped out. And this is the story. So, what do I think of issue 1? It's definitely not bad, but I think it misses a bit of a mark. Again, it would have been interesting to have seen Hank and his brother come back as Black Lanterns. Have it that Holly is quick to believe that this is a trick, and have it that Dove is at peace but still feels wronged about being taken before his time. So I think this issue deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.